Champions is another segment with our own champions. This segment right here is loan products and structuring tips to help the scoreboard. Let's give a great round of applause to all of our participants and our moderator, COO of C2 Financial, Brian Kent. Brian, thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you, Renee. That was wonderful. Thank you, Jay, for the intro. Everybody knows that, the past year and a half, 2 years has been a rough go, not quite as busy as we'd like. And more now than ever, loan products and loan structuring is critical. The folks on this stage are experts in loan products and loan structuring, and we want to learn from the best. And so that's why we're here. So we're going to have a little panel discussion. We might take some questions afterwards, but I think I'm going to start with Rob and talking about what products are kind of getting you in the door with realtors right now. Sorry about that. Perry told me to do that, and I forgot.
Yeah, so the question was, what products are getting me in the door with realtors right now? And so I'm in California, and pretty much everybody knows about the Cal Alpha Dream for All program. I get more clients asking me about that program than any other program, all other programs combined. And so I decided to become an expert in that just to answer questions. And to be frank with you, I haven't done a single one of them because it's very restrictive. And as you know, when the product came out last year, it was only open for 11 days. And I still get people calling about it since it ran out of money. And I talked to my realtors about it because it's a great tool people want to talk about it. And so even if it's a product that you don't think you're going to use very often, but the news is covering it, like KTLA even did a whole article on the Cal Alpha Dream for All program that doesn't even open until April. It's strange, but you need to become an expert on products that people want to know about, even if you don't think it's the best product out there. And then once you have them in the door, you have more conversations, like Renee said, and you can turn those into leads and put them into other DPA programs or just straight FHAs or conventionals, whatever it may be. But I think being able to call my agents and say, hey, I'm an expert in this program, and I can guide these clients and figure out whether they should use it or whether they shouldn't has been a real powerful thing for me.
Great. Allison, you want to jump in real quick with same type of question, what products are kind of getting you in the door and you're having success with?
Yeah, I think I've made a lot of my business on doing really hard deals, and you learn about new products when you do that. There are a lot of great lenders out there that have unique products like United Ag Lending. In Florida, you could do an orange grove. In Colorado, you could do a ranch. You could do a vineyard in California. You also could do horse hobby farms with that product. New Res has a great VA non-occupant co-borrower. So if your VA doesn't have enough money to qualify on their own and they're not married, you can use that product with a little bit of a down payment. Kind Lending also does that as well. Deep Haven, you can do DSCR loans that are business purposes in states that you're not licensed in. So there are definitely a lot of options out there if you think a little outside the box.
Great, I appreciate that. Mark or Janet, I don't know if you want to jump in on that particular question. Mark, why don't we go to you real quick on the product question?
I like to watch, we have such a great wealth of account execs that always give, if your email's set up, you get rate sheets. And I actually get turned on to programs that I had no clue that existed just by watching a webinar here and there. From there, all the guidelines are available to you. You can look through them, you can see what might be unique or not unique, and then knowing your client base and your realtor base and your referral base, you can kind of connect the dots and create a deal for yourself if you know what you're doing, what you're selling. So knowledge is always the confidence builder, I think, and the more knowledge you have, the better the loan officer you'll be today and tomorrow.
Yeah, Janet, you want to jump in on the product question in terms of I know we were chatting about some of the HELOCs before.
Yeah, as far as products, we have everything. And so that's what, anytime I get the opportunity to talk to an agent, that's pretty much what I tell them. If you have any deals that you haven't been able to do, if you have clients that couldn't buy, let me look at it.
Right.
Let's see what we can do. And most of the time it opens the door
Right.
and just close a deal for them, especially outperform when you're working with them, especially if you've never done it.
Right, and in terms of opening doors with clients and kind of checking in, I mean, have you had any success with a particular product like a HELOC, things like that?
Home equity lines, definitely. It's a good reason to call your clients. Hey, do you need money? And most of them probably do. And even if they push back on the rate, okay, that's the rate. The prime lending rate's 8.5, and this is how it works. And if you want to open it's really a HE loan now, if you want to do that, I'm here to help. And usually they'll call me back. They think about it, and what would the payment be, et cetera. And I've done a lot of home equity lines as a result.
What's your, I don't think you probably have a script, but what does that conversation go like when you're calling your client? Just checking in, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's just, hi, how are you? Especially if it's their birthday or something like that. Some alert I get, and sometimes, like I'll track when they close their escrow or certain things, like, oh, they had a baby around this time, they just got a dog, whatever. And I check in that way, and it's typically a casual conversation. I always call them after it rains. Hey, how's your house? How did everything do? And, does it need work, et cetera?
Did you say after it rains?
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. I love it.
Always after it
Only in San Diego, right?
Yeah, well, most people, if they buy a new home,
Right.
they have drainage issues, things like that. And there's this, I forget what it's called, but it's like a soaky thing. I forget what it's called now. But
Yeah.
I recommended that to a lot of people. It's Insta something.
Okay.
I'll find it if anybody wants to know, and it's a really good thing. They're so inexpensive, you can get them on Amazon, and I sent one to a client.
And what do you do with it?
It's like a barrier, so if you have water coming into your garage or something like that.
I see, okay.
And it's like $17 from Amazon.
It's like a sponge
Yeah.
to prevent
They
water
they're
from
flat
coming in your
when
garage.
they come, and they totally work.
Got it. Rob, back to the product thing. On one of our calls, you had talked about I think the Plaza and the STG FHA 100 program. Do you want to address that real quick?
Yeah, it's, I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers. I saw a statistic, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that first-time home buyers now are about 50% of the purchase market. So it's something you can't really ignore, and the biggest hurdle for a lot of first-time home buyers is down payment. Income, it used to be credit, it used to be income, now it's the assets. And there's a bunch of programs out there that are available for down payment assistance, and you just kind of go read the guidelines and figure out what they are. I found out a good one today from EPM. They've got a good one that's another FHA down payment assistance, and it's forgivable. But for instance, I know Plaza's got a really good FHA 100 program. It's got premium pricing on it, so you can do a down payment assistance that's 100% financing, and you can do premium pricing so they can cover closing costs. So you can get pretty close to zero with 100% from the letter. You don't have to negotiate with your seller or get agent credit. And yeah, I mean, those are the products that I'm really looking at. When I get the CalHFA calls, I'll go through and tell them about the program. And if they're calling about Dream for All, tell them, you got to wait a few more months to get that open, and give them the options for the other ones. And you kind of pick and choose your different favorite ones. And the Plaza and STG, they both have really good FHA ones, and that EPM one I learned about today. So we're going to find those out. And I've learned about pretty much all these programs from the Friday webinars. So I look at the email that Brian sends out and says, if it's something I'm interested in, I attend on Friday. If it's not, or if it's an onboarding call, then I can skip it that day and go do whatever I want and go see open houses or just, hang out.
Thank you. Thank you for that plug. The
Yeah, of
C2
course.
Friday weekly webinars. Jump in, learn something new.
But yeah,
Love
man,
it.
that's kind of what I do is I go through those, and I focus on, like I said, first-time home buyers. So if there's something on there that says first-time home buyer or down payment assistance, I'm going to watch it and see if it works.
Right, and I think the message that you're saying, which I think most in the room know, but it's good to hear again, is even though you're not necessarily selling that particular product, it gets you in the door to have the conversation with the realtor or the buyer, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, agents are asking about that because, like I said, with first-time home buyers being such a huge percentage of the market, they're the ones that our agents are talking to. So you need to educate your agents so they know, these things are possible. They don't need to know, what's the front end and back end DTI or minimum credit score. They just need to know that these products are possible. And when someone walks up to them and says, hey, I have good income, but I've got $2,000 in savings, you can, arm your agent with the weapons like, oh, you need to talk to Rob. He knows a program that would work for you.
Right. And do you think it's the case that sometimes if the originator is not out there talking to their realtors about these programs, the realtor might assume he doesn't do those, or he doesn't know about him. He doesn't do them, he or she.
I was amazed when I first got in this industry how much my real estate agents were turning away clients because they think they wouldn't qualify. And so they were saying, oh, you need to wait. You need to save up a little bit. Make sure you've got, at least 20 or 20 grand in a bank before you talk to my loan guy. And I had to teach pretty much all my agents, don't wait. I don't care if they're telling me they filed bankruptcy yesterday. I want to talk to them because there might be a program that works.
Yeah. Has anyone looked at or done the buy before you sell? Like with Calc is here today.
I did one last week. Well, I got it like kind of pre-approved, and they decided not to do it because they just didn't want to carry both the mortgages for any amount of time. But
Got it.
The buy before you sell programs are really cool too, because with it being such a competitive market, writing an offer with contingencies, saying I need to sell my home first, it just puts you at a huge disadvantage, especially in Orange County. It's just so hard to get an offer accepted with that, so it kind of removes that burden and gets you on the top of the list for your approvals.
Janet, were you saying you've done one of the buy before you sell?
No, I haven't.
You have not? Okay. Anybody else? What about asset depletion? Allison, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, UWM has a great program for asset depletion for a regular conventional loan with Fannie Mae. You do not have to be of retirement age. If you have $500,000 in a mutual fund account, they can take a haircut, divide that by the number of months in your loan term, and you can use that as an asset depletion, and not a lot of people have that unless you're non-QM, so that's a great program.
And then one of the other programs, of course, bank statement, P&L, is that getting anyone in the door?
I've used bank statements a ton. I've used STG a lot for bank statements because, of course, with a CPA letter, you can go down to a 10% income or expense factor for that. So you can definitely squeeze a lot more income out of using those programs for sure. And I think, as you don't shy away from some of these really hard loans, that's when I figured out how to do more loans, because the more you know, the more you jump down the rabbit hole, the more you use your AEs that are encyclopedias for information. They're definitely out there. Catherine Boyle is an encyclopedia. So is Alexandra Ford, Amanda from New Res, Joseph from STG. Those are the people that built my business by teaching me what I did not know. How to look up guidelines, how to structure things so that you can do these deals that no one else can. And once you start doing them, they become very easy. And then you can get more business because of it, because it just opens the door through just gaining that knowledge on what you can do, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do. I've built my whole business on doing the loans that other banks have denied. And that's how I got a lot of my agents, even the whales. They might already have a great relationship with someone, but it's easier to go and ask them for business when it's failing, when they're not going to get paid on it. And then once you save the day, they're going to come back to you more and more, and that's how you can get your foot in the door.
Has anybody, let me back up, on the C2 Power Up call 2 Tuesdays ago, C2 Power Up, that's 10 a.m. every Tuesday. We talked about working with some big bank loan officers and referrals. Has anybody used any of these programs to talk to those originators at the big banks? Janet, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, so I get, especially from commercial guys, and because they don't do residential, and especially if you tell them, hey, I can do a loan with bank statements, I can do a loan with a profit and loss, you can do pretty much anything. And you just have to find the AE, read the guidelines really well, and read every bank statement if you're doing a bank statement loan, and make sure that everything is correct in there and looks right, and just pre-underwrite your own file. Don't leave it to the lender to do it.
Yeah.
Do your own.
And how do the big bank loan officers, even on the commercial, respond? Are they surprised, like, well, you can do that?
Oh, yeah, they send you clients.
Right.
And it's better for them, especially if you're pulling cash out or something because they want to buy something.
Yeah.
They're going to do an exchange, and it's slow right now for them, too. Very slow for commercial. They're getting laid off.
Yeah.
I got to comment on that. I actually came from retail about a year ago and joined C2 in April, and I get I still talk to my friends in retail, and there's a lot of products that they don't do in retail because they get pigeonholed to what their lender does. And so I got a referral a few months ago for a program that I hadn't even heard of, but they were like, hey, do you have this one? And I had to go check the index and figure out if we had it, and we did. And so I got qualified to go do it. But like, it's not just big banks that don't do this. It's, you know, sometimes our direct competition needs these people to get loans somewhere, and we can get it from them.
Yeah, that's great. Mark, during one of our calls, we talked about the Quantic program. You want to jump in on that?
Yeah, so we have many lenders that have unique programs. Quantic's one of the CDFI banks. They do kind of what Change used to do with the My Community with the written VOE, which sometimes does simplify it versus using a bank statement or the P&L. I actually have another one in process now that every single lender I've asked said no, except the one that I'm doing it at. So I'm doing a manual conventional underwrite that followed all the Fannie guides, but no one would do it, and it's SunWest. And it just took me calling every single lender on my, LPC chart that I could actually, get a hold of and email, and now I may actually get a Lennar account out of it. So, the work does pay off sometimes. There's no guarantee they're going to, finish and do this loan, but we're in underwriting right now, and it looks very promising.
That's great. I think one of the differences between, say, an average originator and a great originator is really knowing how to structure the loan. I would venture to guess that an average originator might just turn down a deal, maybe, or just look at it and go, this isn't going to fly, versus I think the folks up here will look at it and say, well, if we do this, if we shade this, it can fly. So Janet, why don't you jump in on that?
One of the things that I think is really important about being a good originator is collaborating with someone else. And so Geraldine, somewhere in the room because I can't see, but I call her we just exchange ideas on deals. Find somebody that you can do that with and just run a deal. Hey, have you seen this before? And have you done it? Don't be shy about calling. You can call me, you can call anybody. And, just go over the deal that way, especially if it's something that you're nervous about, or hey, the borrower told me this. I read everything as if it's going to grenade my transaction, literally.
Yeah.
The title, very important too, if somebody's got title issues, and there's so many ways you can work around things.
Right.
You just have to know up front.
Right.
And talk to somebody, talk to another C2LO, preferably somebody that does more deals than you.
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned Geraldine. I've got her cell number that I'm going to put on the screen here. Anyone, just kidding, Geraldine.
It's very helpful, 24/7.
Yeah, do you want to jump in, Allison, on the?
I was just going to say Slack is a great tool to use. Also coming here, I feel like it's kind of like speed dating in the lender room. You can go around, spend 5 minutes with each person, and you're going to come out thinking about another deal that you could do, or just something to talk to your real estate agents about, of something else you can do that might save a deal for them, or someone that they thought would not be qualified that now you know how to do it. And everybody is more than willing to help each other. Stuff that Mark and I have gone through, even on this panel, we were talking and Jana is like, hey, hold on a second, I'm writing notes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm taking notes too. I learned a few things out of it, so.
Yeah, it sounds like, you guys are all students of the business. You study guidelines, you talk to AEs, but you're constantly learning.
Every day.
Every day, there's something new. So I love that idea that Janet mentioned about, finding somebody within the C2 community and, making that your group. And if that group can't find the answer, post it on Slack, email me, I can connect you with people. So like Jay said, it's the collaborative community that makes us different. Diane will help you for sure.
Yeah.
Any other comments on structuring? Does anyone remember a specific scenario that they took in the past few months and you're like, oh, I don't think this is going to work, and you were like, okay.
Yeah, I think for structuring, you really need to know your guidelines so that you're kind of playing the chess match of, if I give this, then I'm going to go here, or I'm going to go here. And I had a very hard deal. I had someone that worked in the pot industry, so that makes it interesting. No credit score, wanted to buy a home on 15 acres, that's another little doozy, that had 2 homes on it, and the second home was a modular home. What could possibly go wrong? So I did what Mark suggests. You pick up the phone and you dial for dollars and call every lender, and then you want to get more information. So I know what all my pitfalls are going to be in that. It's on land. I've got 2 houses on it. One's modular. He doesn't have a credit score, and he works in the pot industry. So those are the things I'm going to talk to the lenders about. He didn't have a credit score. Easy fix for that. We got him on as an authorized user on a family member's credit card. That is a huge hack for that. In 30 days, I had a 740 credit score. So that's something very easy to do. I found a lender, United Ag Wholesale. They didn't mind that it was on acreage. They did not mind that I had a second home, and they actually would give me 75% of that rental value just based on a lease. I didn't even have to get an appraisal for that. And then they didn't care that he was in the marijuana industry. And then actually, just recently, that man went to sell that home, and a buyer that came and talked to him, he was like, hey, I know who can finance this property. You're gonna need to call Allison. So I'm getting it for the second time. Wow. So a lot of those can lead to just one thing after another, really build your relationship with that agent. Now, other real estate agents are actually on Facebook talking to people about all these weird deals that I've done, and now they're giving me calls, and I'm like, hey, where did you hear about that? So I'm not even having to do the selling on what you can do for your clients. Once you start doing them, then other real estate agents will start telling people for you.
That's great. Yeah.
Also, I think if you run into something like, let's say, a condo and construction defect litigation, let's say, call lenders too. I mean, Deep Haven, once they looked at, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And it wasn't a yeah, sure, we'll do it, but anyway, yes.
For you.
But that would never have happened, right, without,
right,
collaboration and explaining it. Go to the UWM underwriting desk. I think it's easier sometimes if you have a complicated transaction, spend the time and have that looked at by underwriting, even if you already kind of know, it smooths that deal out.
Yeah.
And I know like the Canes did it and said like there was no senior conditions, came out clean.
Nice.
Which is not always the case with UWM. Well,
Right.
but and so anyway, they did a great job.
We've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to turn to Mark real quick. Any wins in the past couple of months that maybe you thought you were like, this isn't going to work, and you were able to make it work?
I like to also look at the LLPA adjustments on all the rate sheets. Like, it sounds boring, but when you have lenders that are doing the same thing, some of them have sweet spots, whether it be a property type, a loan to value, a credit score that aligns, and it can make you so much sharper. So I a lot of the time pick up investment in second homes that people don't think that they could get nearly what rate we're giving at, and that's what I actually like to promote afterwards when people think it can't happen, and to show that it can happen and it actually is a little better than you might have thought.
Nice. And then back to Mark once again, and then we'll go down the panel and wrap up. What lenders are just doing a killer job for you right now?
I mean, I actually have 5 going right now. So I have, with different files on each. UWM is my go-to. Besides them, I use Quantic, First National Bank of America, Next Bank, SunWest, who I used to work on the retail side, so I know them a little better than others on the wholesale. But I'm constantly trying to find reasons to use some of these other lenders, like PennyMac's very attractive to me. Some of the non-QMs that I've been getting their rate sheets, whether it be Logan or NewFi and Ameris. Like Ameris has a program, they'll go 95% to a $975K loan amount. I'm just hoping I get a loan to put into that, but knowing that I have that available makes it easier to sell and be able to spit back, yes, I can do it, versus I don't know if someone asks me that.
And then any AEs you want to recognize, Mark, that your go-to top 3?
Yeah, I mean, we got Wissam Kosho at UWM. Mary Shaver at Quantic is awesome, and Lindsay Madsen at NextBank is amazing too, if I had to say 3.
Same question to you, Allison. Lenders and AEs.
Yeah, so lenders, I'm using PennyMac, UWM, STG, New Res, and Deep Haven are pretty much my go-tos right now. As far as AEs, can't say enough about Catherine Boyle from PennyMac, absolutely a resource, will answer her phone. Anthony Schlimman from UWM, Amanda from New Res, Jamie from Deep Haven, and Joseph from STG is really great, as well as Scott McCarthy from PAC Res.
That's great. Rob?
Yeah, so coming from retail, it's kind of a whole whirlwind getting here. You go from having one lender to having over 100. So it was really difficult in the transition to kind of figure out where to go. But luckily, my mentor, Brigitte, if you're anywhere here, she helped me out a lot. But I think the important thing that we're kind of learning here is like to not say no and to say, I'll go find out instead. And with all these resources, you'll find the AE that helps you the most. I think the AE that's been helping me the most lately has been Lori over at Plaza. But like you said, Joseph over at STG has been very helpful and knowledgeable as well. So I'd say those two have been my biggest ones. I'm trying to find one for the Loan Store or New Res are big ones as well that I've heard a lot of good things about in the Good, Bad, and Ugly board. So I want to give them a shot as well as the other ones.
And Janet, to finish us off, who are you going to?
I go to Logan because I do a lot of non-QM, and Jonathan Peace is super helpful, always answers the phone. UWM, of course, I have Danny and or Angelina, or I call Drew. I mean, they're great. If they don't know, here, call this guy. And I'm a big fan of NextBank, and Lindsay and the intern, they're very helpful. You can talk to underwriters there. That's really important to me.
Yeah.
And of course, look, the Loan Store, Steve Clark is helpful as well. Deep Haven.
Great.
I use them all.
Great,
I mean,
great. So I want to
They
thank
don't say no.
I want to thank the panel today. I think some of that insight was unbelievable. I mean, I've been with C2 for a long time. And I know everyone is open to sharing information. If you find these folks in the lender hall or at lunch, I would sit next to somebody on this panel and just kind of pick their brain. So thank you again, and I'm sorry? Yeah, Janet says if you got a deal, you got a question, she's all in. Janet, behind the scenes, is actually our loan guru on our scenario board. I don't know if you know, I wasn't going to tell everybody today, but she's behind the scenes as our loan guru. So she'll help you structure deals if you need that help. So again, thank you very much to the panel. We will move to our next segment. Jay, come on up. Thank you.